Hello friends, and a warm welcome to the Slow Living Collective podcast. I am Amy, wife, mother of two and devoted homemaker. Join me on this journey as we explore the beauty of slow and simple living, where life unfolds at its own unhurried pace. These episodes are love notes from me, sharing the things that I sometimes need to hear myself as well. I'll take you through my experiences of slowing down, tending to my allotment plot and balcony garden, finding joy in the little things, and embracing our wonderful small home. In these episodes, I delve into what it means to walk a different path, stepping outside societal norms and embracing all the beauty it provides. Together, we'll learn how to live in harmony with the ever-changing seasons, discovering the magic of living in the present moment. I welcome you to come on this journey with me and maybe open your mind to a different way of living. I hope you find what you're looking for in the words of these episodes, and I hope they speak to you in your own unique way. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Slow Living Collective. I'm Amy, and if you're new here, this is where we explore how to embrace simplicity and intentional living in what is a pretty fast-paced world. And today I want to talk about something that has been on my mind a lot lately, and that is our disconnection from the seasons. So I want you to think about it for a second with me. When was the last time you truly felt the shift from one season to another? Not just noticing the weather change, but actually living in harmony with it. So let's go back a bit. In the past, people's lives were so deeply rooted into the whole natural cycles of the earth, whether that be the food they ate, the way they worked, and even their daily routines shifted with the seasons. But today, in a world of artificial lighting, temperature-controlled homes, and supermarkets that are filled with the same produce all year round, so many of us have lost that connection. And so I want to talk about that in today's episode. I want to have a look and dive deeply into how modern life has really distanced us from the natural rhythms of the seasons, and also why reconnecting with the seasons actually matters, why it's good for our well-being, our mental health, and actually even our sense of purpose. And I want to help you figure out how you can start living in sync with the seasons again, no matter where you live or how busy your life is. So let's dive into it. Before we dive back into today's episode, I want to take a quick moment to share something I absolutely love: Riverford Organic. If you've been looking for a way to make your meals feel more seasonal, wholesome and aligned with your values, Riverford is a game changer. Riverford delivers fresh organic produce right to your door straight from the farm. Everything is grown with care and respect for the earth, so you know that when you're cooking with their ingredients, you're nourishing both your body and the planet. If you'd like to try a Riverford box, head to the slowlivingcollective.com/Riverford. That is the slowlivingcollective.com/Riverford. Sign up for your first Riverford box and you will get a £15 credit towards your second order with them. So that is the slowlivingcollective.com/Riverford. So we're living in a time where the natural cycles of the earth no longer really dictate how we live. And so here are some of the biggest ways that modern life has separated us from the changing seasons. So the biggest one, I think, is globalization and this idea of year-round availability. So we can pretty much walk into the supermarket in the middle of winter and we can buy strawberries, tomatoes, tropical fruit, all of the things that aren't native to our location. And it's grown on the other side of the world. And while this convenience is incredible and, a variety that, we wouldn't ordinarily see, it also just shows us that we've lost this deep appreciation for seasonal foods. Those foods that naturally grow in our local environment during a particular time of year. And I say this quite often, you might have heard me say it before. I live just north of London in the UK. There is no way on earth that I would see a banana if it wasn't for globalization. There is no way, because there is no way on earth a banana is going to grow in my climate. Let's be honest. Now, I live in a pretty, one of the warmest parts of the country. I'm still not seeing a banana. And that is a perfect sort of depiction of what this year-round availability has done. So when you eat seasonally, you are eating foods that are seasonally appropriate in your location. They are fresher, but they also provide your body with the nutrients that your body in your location needs at that exact point in time. It's incredibly clever. Nature is smart. It is really smart. So in the past, people, they would have waited for those first foods to come up, so it might be like the first lettuce in the spring, or, the tomatoes in the summer, squashes and things, root veg in the winter. And now most people really think about where food comes from, or even whether it's meant to be eaten in that particular season. I think we probably don't think about that at all. I don't think anybody would think it strange to be eating a tomato in the middle of winter. But it is deeply strange, because you can't grow tomatoes in winter. They're a very tender plant. They would not grow in the winter in this location. I won't even put my tomatoes outside until my last frost day is quite early, but I have to be in May before I put my tomatoes outside. There's no way I should be eating a tomato in like January or something, but we are so disconnected that we actually don't even think about it. And this disconnection doesn't just affect our awareness, but also our health as well, because our bodies naturally crave different nutrients in different seasons, but we override this instinct with the convenience of foods that we have. And we live in very sort of temperature controlled environments as well, whether it be heating on in the winter, or some of us might have air conditioning in the summer. I do. My house is boiling. It's got beautiful, beautiful big glass windows everywhere, which makes it kind of like a greenhouse. I love my home, but it does get warm in the summer. So I have to have air conditioning throughout the summer because it's too much. And I'm not a big fan of superheat. And it will easily top 30 degrees in my bedroom, and I cannot tolerate that. But what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't really matter what the season is outside. We adjust our homes to feel the same all year round. And so we rarely feel the seasons in their full intensity. Now, historically, people's routines would have changed with the seasons. So And this is something I do follow now, but I'm talking from a point where I, has maybe become so disconnected from this. But, waking earlier in the summer, slowing down in winter, eating heavier foods when it's cold and lighter foods when it's warm. These things that, as I'm saying them, you're probably like, oh yeah, I do wake up earlier in the summer, or I do feel more tired and lethargic in the winter. And yeah, I do prefer eating lighter when it's warm. It's because it's so inherently built into us. Seasonal living is not just a fad, it is who we inherently are. We're just disconnected from it. So, today, in today's modern world, we expect our bodies to function the same way every day, regardless of the season we're in. And this is why we end up burnt out and exhausted, because we're ignoring these natural cycles that our bodies are just designed to follow. And, we also live in a world that is so technologically advanced, and most people spend a lot of time indoors glued to screens. So instead of watching the sunset, we're watching TV. Instead of noticing the first frost, we maybe just check the app on our phones. And I think we're all guilty of this. I don't exclude myself. I mean, I do watch sunsets, but I have spent many years trying to reconnect with the seasons. But because of this modern world that we live in, we often miss these subtle shifts that are happening outside. So it could be the way the air smells different in certain seasons, or how the bird song changes in the spring, or the way the light shifts as the days shorten in winter. All of these things create this really deep disconnection from the world around us and from ourselves as well. Because connecting with the seasons is so inherent to who we are. And just because we now live in this modern world that is so disconnected from it doesn't mean that we've lost all hope, because we can just reconnect with it. And I've done it, and I know that it is possible, which is why I want to share it. So I think first and foremost, maybe people think like, why should I care about this? Like, does it matter? And yeah, it does. When we live connected to the seasons and in tune with the seasons, we feel more grounded, more rooted, and more present in our lives. And we just become more aware of the world around us. And it's funny. It's one of those things where you don't notice that you're missing anything until you notice it, and then you can't help but notice it. And it's funny, I've really noticed myself even more so than previous years. So this year, going back onto the allotment in the late winter, early spring, and I noticed something really interesting. So we would be on the allotment. The daylight hours, they're not massively long, late winter, early spring. And we would be talking about, you just need to get this done. Just very conscious that at some point you're going to lose the light. And I have caught myself so many times when maybe my husband said, what have we still got to do? And I will look up at the sun and see its position in the sky and evaluate whether I can start a new task or whether I need to start tidying up because it's going to start getting dark, instead of reaching for my phone and checking the time, which is so interesting because I do, often as well, I will go to the allotment alone. And so, I'm a woman by myself, and I make a point of not being there once it starts to, the sun starts to set. And that's just I always feel very safe there, but just a personal preference. And yeah, I just find it so interesting that now I'm evaluating when it is time to start clearing away based on where the sun is in the sky versus what the time might be. So that's super interesting, that connection. Also, when we connect with the seasons as well, it actually really supports our physical health, because our bodies are just designed to function differently in each season. And the modern world has us trying to operate like it's an eternal summer, at our peak, at our best all the time. But it's just not possible, and it's very natural that we feel these things. We feel them anyway, because it is so inherently built into us. But the problem is the modern world tries to tear us away from it, so we try and block it out. But eating seasonally, adjusting our routines, within the changes of the seasons can really just improve our health overall, especially things like digestion, sleep, and our energy levels as well. But beyond our physical health, it also really helps us on our natural highs and lows in our mental health, because we are not meant to be go all the time. Winter is for rest, summer is for movement, autumn is for reflection, spring is for renewal. And it's just really helpful when you're reconnected to that. It just helps your overall mental health as well. But above everything as well, I think it really I think it deepens our appreciation for nature, because once you start to notice all of these seasonal changes, you start to feel more connected to the earth. And instead of feeling separate from nature, we start to see ourselves as part of it again. And we are part of it. We've just been pulled away from it. And I think the beauty of seasonal living is that it doesn't require any kind of lifestyle overhaul. It is inherently who we are, and it's just making those small intentional shifts back to that, essentially. So I want to give you some tips on how you can start living in alignment with the seasons again and just bringing more seasonal awareness into your life. So number one is eat seasonally and locally. So choose fruits and veggies that are naturally in season in your area. Visit the local farm shops or farmers markets. If you can't do that, if there isn't a farm near you or a farmer's market, or it is just not affordable, because these things can also come at a slightly higher price, look for seasonal fruit and veg in your local supermarket, because you can still eat seasonally and shop in the supermarket. Now, you might choose not to, but you can absolutely do it. There is a really great I can't remember where it is now, but if you Google, seasonal foods UK, for example, if you're in the UK or wherever you are in the world, search the seasonal fruits, type in like seasonal produce, your country calendar, and you will find calendars, and it will give you an idea of what is in season at what time in your location. And just once you start getting into that habit, and also read up about it a little bit, we like lighter, fresher foods in the summer, and we like more warm, grounding, heavier meals in the winter. So number two is notice the seasonal changes around you. So even if you live a pretty indoor life and you work indoors and you don't get a lot of time outside, try and step outside at least once every day, even if it's just for a few minutes, and just take a few moments, combine it with, like a bit of an intentional moment that day, and just observe what's happening in nature and pay attention to those really small details. Like, how does the air smell? Have the trees changed? What birds can you see flying around? And if you really want to spend more time outside, and I absolutely suggest you do, if you want to, watch a sunrise or sunset and just connect with that natural rhythm of light and darkness. I am never up for a sunrise usually, but I am always out on my balcony waiting for the sunset. And this time of year I wait outside until the sun has set at least. And number three is adjust your daily routine. So in the summer, wake up earlier and spend more time outdoors. I wake up earlier in the summer, usually about an hour to an hour and a half earlier, but I wake up naturally. And in the winter, I definitely feel more lethargic and want to lay in bed. But in the summer, I wake up earlier, I spend more time outdoors, lots of vitamin D. In autumn, I start that slow down and start to be a little more reflective and thinking ahead to winter. In winter, I allow myself more rest, to sleep longer, to be more cozy. And then in spring, like now, I refresh my home, refresh my intentions, and just be kind of ready to go. And number four is also connected to that, is just celebrating the seasonal rituals. So you could create small traditions to mark the changing of the seasons, and it doesn't have to be anything big. I always try and celebrate, in our family, we always celebrate the equinoxes and the solstices. It doesn't have to be massive. It's really not massive. We just talk about it, and, sometimes we will, have a little small ritual around that, but nothing major. I like to learn about the history of the seasonal celebrations in different cultures, where they came from, and often my baking changes and things like that as well. And number five is just shift your mindset. And so that is as simple as, instead of seeing each season as just a change of weather, start seeing it as well as a shift in your energy. And you can then use that to embrace the natural ebb and flow of life. So there'll be times of activity, there'll be times of rest, there'll be times of renewal. And I want you to remember this first and foremost, that just like nature, you don't have to be in full bloom all the time. The modern world wants you to be at your peak all the time, but it is not possible. We cannot exist like that. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Reconnecting with the seasons isn't about us changing anything. It's just about making small shifts that bring us back to that more natural way of living. Because like I said, this is inherently built into us. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I would love to hazard a guess that you've been, throughout this episode, have been nodding your head like, okay, yeah, I already feel that, or we're just not tuned into it, let's say. It's still there. We've just been trained and taught to kind of stamp it out and push it to one side. So I just want you to think about some ways that you can start integrating it back in your life, because there are so many benefits to living seasonally, and I think it's at the absolute root and core of everything else, like slow living and simple living as well. When you live seasonally, these other things, they just naturally come. So just take a deep breath, step outside, and start noticing things about the season that you're in right now. So if you've been inspired to reconnect with seasonal living through this episode, I would love to hear how you're doing it. Come connect with me over on Substack. You can find me there, theslowlivingcollective.substack.com, or come find me on Instagram or TikTok. I am at The Slow Living Collective in both those places. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe to the Slow Living Collective podcast, and then you'll never miss a conversation. So until next time, get slowing down and embracing the rhythm of the seasons, and I will catch you in the next episode.